Hey guys, Pastor Tony here. Welcome to this month's edition of Becoming Healthy Leaders. This is the month of May, and I want to talk to you a little bit today about creating momentum. Momentum in the month of May. That's a lot of M's, but I wanted to help some of you who are struggling. Maybe you feel locked in your pursuit. Maybe it's your business. You feel like you're struggling to move forward. Maybe some of you are leading teams here at the church and you kind of hit a road bump. And you feel like that there is a lack of momentum. You're good at getting things started, you get things going, but it doesn't seem like the wheel is turning for you. You know, once you get momentum going, it works for itself. John Maxwell calls it the big mo. It's the power of momentum, and we all need that in our life. You know, sometimes it feels like we're just living day to day, and I believe that there's some things that you can do, that I can do, that will help you build momentum. And again, what we do with these videos every month is we're trying to help you become healthy leaders. We want to develop healthy leaders who can in turn build healthy teams and create momentum in your teams. You know, you're getting people to sign up, it seems almost without you even trying. That's momentum. Momentum is like that snowball that goes down the hill and it rolls and it just grows and it grows and it grows because the power of centrifugal force and gravity is working for it. You're not having to push that snowball down the hill. It just begins to roll and get faster and faster. And that's what really brings the heart of success to any type of organization, team, business, venture that you're working on. It's the power of momentum. And I want to share 4 things with you real quick. We're not going to spend a lot of time here because I know you've got other things to do with your time. You got to get out there and create momentum. So let me share with you 4 things that will help build a healthy sense of momentum in whatever you're doing. Okay, so right here at the top, our key verse for this idea of creating momentum is found in 2 Chronicles chapter 15, verse 7, and it says, "Be strong and do not give up, for your work will be rewarded." You know, you're in the middle of the heat, you're in the middle of the push, and things are starting to get hard, and that's when you have to dig down and stay in it because momentum is about to happen, you know, right on the heels of momentum. Or actually right before momentum starts, it feels like things are starting to get their hardest. That's because you're doing a good work. And we don't want to be weary in doing a good work. We want to keep going. We want to persevere. We talked a little bit about that in some of our past Becoming Healthy Leaders videos. And so to get momentum going, when the time gets tough, when the going gets tough, that's when you dig in and you push. You give that final push because sometimes right before that big momentum starts, you're going to have difficulty. And so the first thing we do when we want to create momentum is we want to define reality. Where are you right now? You know, a lot of people just want to bury their head in the sand. They don't want to look at what's going on. They don't want to look at maybe some of the difficult team members that are there that are kind of holding you back. And maybe there's some tough decisions you've got to make. And maybe there's just some things that you've got to do in your finances and maybe your health. You're looking at yourself in the mirror and you're going, reality says, I'm gaining extra pounds. And being able to stop and admit that. Reality is saying, you know, my family's not doing very well right now. I'm not spending time with my kids. I'm not creating moments with my wife or my husband. I'm not spending the time I should. And I'm where I am because of some things I'm doing. You'll never get to momentum really if you don't define reality. You've got to define reality. And I think for most of us, that's a difficult spot. But man, if you can get past just being honest with yourself, you know, sometimes we don't want to hear the truth. Sometimes you need to ask some people around you, hey man, how am I doing? What do you think? Can you give me some advice? Where am I making the mistakes? Are you seeing any patterns in my life that may be destructive or maybe creating this place that I'm at? You know, defining reality is the first step, but that's not the only step. We want to define reality, but then secondly, we want to envision better. You know, that's part of it. You don't have to stay where you are to get to momentum in your life. You define reality, but then you have to expect better or envision a better future. You know, the scriptures tell us in Proverbs 29:18, without a vision, the people perish. Another translation of that says, without a revelation, the people cast off restraint. So in defining reality, you get a wake-up call, that revelation. Man, this is where I'm at. I need to lose weight. I need to build better relationships. I need to quit being lazy. I need to make these decisions with my finances. I need to get some help. You're defining reality, but then you can envision better. And let me tell you something right now, leader, there is something better for you. You don't have to live just in the right now, in the reality. You need to expect God to do something better. You got to get a vision of a better future. Someone made a statement a long time ago that's really impacted me. And they said, if you want something you've never had, you got to do something you've never done. Wow, that's so powerful. And to envision a better future, you can see it, but you got to do something about it. So we define reality, we expect or envision a better future. And then number 3 is we've got to create goals. We've got to write them down, literally get your pen out, write it down. Habakkuk 2:2 says, write the vision plainly on tablets, get your phone out, get your iPad out and go to your notes section and start typing down the goals that you want to achieve. 25 years ago, I wrote down 25 goals and I folded that piece of paper and I stuck it in my Bible and I had it there for years. And I wanted to see what I was headed toward. There's something powerful about writing the vision down. Again, Habakkuk 2:2 says that if you write the vision plain on tablets or get it on a paper or get it in front of you, then what happens is it says that he who reads it may run with it. Man, that's so powerful because sometimes writing things down, it's not magic, but there's something about committing a goal to paper. I wrote down my top 25 goals as I was telling you about. I wrote those down 25 years ago and stuck that piece of paper in my Bible. And over the years, I've seen those goals come to pass, some really, really big things. One of the goals I wrote back when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, I'm 58 right now. And I wrote down, I want to write books. I want to teach leadership. I want to travel the world. I want to go to different nations. I want to consult pastors. I want to be an influencer. I want to be a captain among captains. I want to be a pastor of pastors. And, I ended up doing that. I ended up writing several books, leadership books, Christian inspirational books, devotional books. And I found myself standing in foreign countries and churches all across the country, all across America, consulting and leading pastors and helping pastors get through conflicts in their local church and resolving problems between staff members and, being able to educate and train leaders. And that's what I'm doing right here at Free Chapel right now. What I'm doing right now is part of a goal that I wrote down on that piece of paper and stuck it in my Bible. I've seen probably, I would say 4/5 of those goals come to pass, big things. And some of you were saying, well, I don't want to be too big. I don't want to write it too big. I don't want to get too self-centered and write my dreams out. Listen, let me tell you something. Stop second guessing everything you want to do. Stop second guessing the goals that you have and the dreams that you have. I want to spend a little time on this part about creating goals, because what happens is we kind of hold back and we don't write the big things. Man, I wrote some audacious things back in the day. I said, I want to win music awards for writing worship songs. And some of you may think, well, that sounds selfish. Well, that was a dream I had. That was something I wanted to do. And I believe it was important to God, because I wanted to do something bigger than I thought I could accomplish. And, I saw some of my songs featured in Worship Leader magazine as being one of the top 10 songs of the month. And I've seen some of my songs sung in over 190 nations of the world. Some of the songs that I've written over the years, some of my songs became an anthem for some churches and really helped encourage people and bless people and bring them into the presence of God. And some of you think, well, what if I write something down that feels really selfish or self-centered? What I just say is write it down, pray over it, and let God sort it out. Sometimes God will teach you some things when you write things down, but I think some of us really are afraid. That's why we don't do it. We're afraid that if we write it down, that we might actually see ourselves doing what we believe we can do. And I just am spending some time here right now. Some of you may write down a goal and you will realize how much work you've got to do to make that happen. But see, something happens supernaturally when you write down the vision. Write down the goals, write it down, write down the action steps, which is number 4. The 4th point I want to make: take action. Do something about it. Make a call, have a meeting, get out there and do something. Make an effort to do what you have to do. You know, as long as you're alive, you have a reason to live. You have a purpose. And you need to begin to take action in that. If you need to lose weight, start small. You know, get on the treadmill for 10 minutes. I just brought my mom's treadmill home from Tennessee. I put it in my garage. And you know what I got to do? I got to get that treadmill down into the basement, plugged up, and start running. You know, I've gained a few extra pounds. So one of my goals over the next few weeks is to get started. Start small. You don't have to take huge steps. Just start somewhere. Do something. Take action. You know, because if you want to see momentum come, you have to take those 4 necessary steps to even get the ball rolling. But man, once the ball gets rolling and you start seeing results and you start tracking your progress, you start getting enthused and you start getting motivated. You know, motivation is a huge thing that happens when you are attempting to get momentum going. You know, getting motivated is the hardest thing. But once you're in momentum, motivation is kind of doing its own work. You're motivated. You see things happening. So number 1, you have to define reality. Number 2, you have to envision a better future. Number 3, you have to create goals. And then number 4, you have to take action. I believe when you really do those 4 things, and there's so much more involved, I'm just introducing it to you, but we want you to be a healthy leader. We want you to experience the joy of your business, the joy of your ministry, the joy of your leadership, the joy of your parenting. And joy comes when there's momentum going, when there's something happening. You can get that snowball, you can get that avalanche taking place in your life when you have momentum. And I hope this has helped you. I hope this has encouraged you right where you are. Some of you have big dreams and big goals and you want them to happen. If you'll start with just those 4 things, I believe that you can enter into a season at some point in your vision that will feel momentous. You know, we go from momentum to momentous moments where we see success, we see results, we see the fruit. And that's really what we want to do here. I hope that we're helping you develop into a healthy leader who can build a healthy team. And on behalf of all of us here at Braselton Campus, Pastor Hamilton, myself, our other leaders and staff, we just want to thank you for all you do. Man, we're coming up this week on our mobile food pantry, and man, it's such a blessing to see that happening every month. We're feeding families and really meeting the needs of our community, and we're seeing momentum there. We're seeing it growing. We actually fed more families last month than we broke records last month. That's what momentum is all about. And some of you just need to stay on the grind. Keep going. Don't give up. And know that everything you're doing here for our church and the way that you serve and the way that you show up is an extreme blessing. God is being honored and lives are being changed. Hey, I hope you can create some momentum this month. We're praying for you, we believe in you, and we can't wait to see you this Sunday.